I'm Justin Hayek, investment advisor with PI Financial. Join me on a ride with today's top CEOs. Hear the stories of their greatest achievements and failures. Get the inside on their secrets to investing and the latest on their next big deal. This is Car Ride Confessions of a CEO. Joining me on today's ride is Ivan Bebek, Executive Chairman and Director of Oren Resources and Co-Chairman and Director of Torque Resources. Ivan is well known for having executed the sale of Caden Resources for $205 million to Agnico Eagle Mining in 2014 during the depths of a depressed mining market. Ready to go?
Yep, sure.
Let's do this.
All right.
So for those that don't follow Torque, what's the elevator pitch?
I'd like to say it's the next Oren. You're a year early from where things started with Oren, and I mean that by we're just starting to build a portfolio of projects, and insiders are large shareholders of the company. We plan to become larger ones as we have done with Oren as we start to get into our projects. And I think you're just buying Oren a year early, earlier than where Oren is today. That's it. Real simple.
Right. Okay. And then for those that don't follow Oren Resources, maybe a quick pitch on that, and maybe things that we could potentially expect over the next few months or a year.
Sure. Great. So Oren Resources, we founded this company on the back of two previous successes. Keegan Resources, we found 5 million ounces of gold in Ghana. Stock went as high as $9 per share. Raised a lot of money for that company. It's now a producing mine in Africa. Subsequently, we did Caden Resources, and our motto has always been to go find a 5 million ounce resource, thinking a major would like that and they'd want to buy that, and we can create a big exit for shareholders. And what we did with Oren was we succeeded in building that portfolio, but the start of discovery, when you go chase a 5 or 10 million ounce deposit, especially up north, it takes time. These things are discreet when you find them. And I'm just having the discussion in my office, because Oren was as high as $4 a share a year ago. Goldcorp had put about $35 million in at $3.67 per share in January. That set some pretty big expectations within ourselves and for the market.
Of course.
So we set out to go drill 55,000 meters of discovery drilling, and I think the stage that was set for us by them as a strategic investor, the amount of money we were putting to work, was one that would have been very tough for us to fulfill. And that being said, though, if you asked me before we drilled our first hole in Committee Bay, how would you like to drill a better hole than the first hole drilled at Meliadine, which is now 11 million ounces or so, 7 grams per ton, or the first 5 holes at Amaruq, where Agnico has been very successful in coming up with about 6 million ounces, or pushing 6 million ounces, about 5 or 6 grams per ton. If you told me that could be a result at the end of the Committee Bay program of this summer, I'd be ecstatic, and that's where we got to, right? So when you drill something and you get a discovery hole, unfortunately a single hole is a one-dimensional discovery, and you need to know what happens at depth, you need to know what happens on the sides, you got to add 2 more dimensions to it. This is what's going to start happening for us in March for Oren. We're going to go back to go drill this, and we're going to be drilling underneath it, beside it. We're going to give the market, ourselves, everyone, the 3 dimensions that go with bonifying a discovery. That could be huge for us. At the same time, when we go drill that, we're going to be drilling 3 Bluffs. 3 Bluffs is about 1.2 million ounces of just under 8 grams per ton. So in March, we're going to be expanding a discovery and growing a resource that's running just under 8 grams per ton. And the fortuitous part of these 2 targets, or the deposit and the target, is they're 12 kilometers apart from each other. Committee Bay is in the Arctic. That's a tough place by infrastructure. Our discovery hole, or our best discovery hole in the belt right now, sits 12 kilometers away from $30 million of infrastructure, so it'll operate as one camp. So it's pretty spectacular. And then what the market, I think, missed in the last 30 days of tax loss selling is we started drilling in Peru about 2 weeks ago. We've drilled 2 holes, and now we've paused until January where drilling will resume. We're drilling an oxide resource. There's a historical non-43-101 resource that is a decent start, and we're looking to make it bigger.
I want to go back several years into when you first got in the industry.
Sure.
Who was the person that gave you your first big break?
My first major break in the industry was a cold call I made to a guy by the name of Rob Sally. And if you don't know him offhand, he was a very famous a natural resource broker at Dundee, worked with the likes of Friedland and Lucas Lundin, Ross Beatties of the world, and the cold call was a great lesson to a lot of people of what can happen out of the right cold call. But Rob opened up a lot of doors for us. He made a lot of great introductions. It led to us doing business with people such as Lucas Lundin and Ross Beatty. And I did something as a young entrepreneur in the business, and I swallowed any pride I had on anything I thought I knew what I was doing with. And I listened to him because he was a lot smarter, a lot more experienced, and his circle of people around him were incredible. So his advice was well taken on everything I've done career-wise, and a great partner and investor in everything we do.
Actually, I don't remember to the day, but I actually remember you walking in the office that day, because I was working for Rob at the time when I first got into the industry.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, you just took me back now.
Yeah.
So that walking into the office, I asked Rob 4 times if I could come to his office and see him. My dad's advice was, you got to go see him face to face, shake his hands, look him in the eye, and have a real relationship with this guy. Don't just call him on the phone. So when I showed up that day, that was uninvited, unexpected, and Rob gave me about 45 minutes to bend his ear.
Right.
And I did a lot of listening while as I did a little bit of talking, introducing of myself. But that was where it all started. So you've actually witnessed it from the very beginning.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a series of questions.
Sure.
Okay. One-word answers only.
Okay.
So if you had, say, $10,000 to invest over a period of a year, what would you invest in, Bitcoin or gold?
Gold.
I was going to say, I don't think I really had to ask you the question, but since it's in front of me, what did you ask Santa for Christmas this year?
For gold.
1 year from now, what do you think the price of gold will be?
1 year from now.
So let's say December of 2018.
Okay, December of 2018, I think we'll be at around $1,550 per ounce.
I understand you're somewhat of a golfer.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So if you could play a round of golf as part of a dream foursome, who would it be? Who would be part of your dream foursome, and where would you play?
Okay. And this may happen one day. Mining related or all things?
All things considered, yeah.
Well, Tiger Woods. And,
okay.
Someone I've met previously in the past, and real nice gentleman.
Okay.
You have to pick the number one golfer for sure.
Of course, yeah.
Second person I would like to golf with would be, I would say now from our business, I'd like to have a round of golf with Robert Friedland, just because of the early days I've learned so much around about him. And the third person I would choose in the foursome would be Rob Sally. Just because the dynamic of those personalities would be something that I remember for a very long time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And where would you play?
I'd probably look to play Pebble Beach.
Okay. Have you played
not
there
yet.
before?
No.
Unbelievable.
The mining market and this business that we're in, and now speaking as an investor versus with the knowledge of an issuer, an entrepreneur on the business as a chairman, I think that the opportunity where the most money I've certainly made and I've seen people make, I've seen that happening as at the bottom of cycles.
Yeah.
I think when you see a parabolic rise in the tech side of the business and equities, when people try to convince you that gold will no longer exist and it will be replaced by anything, I think that's where you got to put on your uncomfortable pants and go out and buy as many shares as you can and things that you like.
Now for you're someone who attends a number of conferences, whether as a keynote speaker or just sort of going out there on the scene and promoting both Torque and Orin. What's the next conference you plan on attending in Vancouver? Oh,
I'll be attending Cambridge, and for sure all the conferences in Vancouver. I don't miss any of them, and I think that the opportunity at these conferences for us to be reached by shareholders is incredible. And people get a chance to see you, shake your hand and stuff. And I think the Cambridge does a tremendous job.
Ivan, awesome.
Thank you very much.
For your
really
time.
appreciate it.
Awesome, I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.